with a mouthful of tea. Good evening, everybody. I'm 3 minutes late. I apologize for that, but I'm here. I made it, and I'm happy that I did. I just got done talking to my husband about a document that he had to get notarized. That he went to the UPS store to do it because obviously I'm his spouse, so I can't notarize any documents for him, and they did it incorrectly. And I am very I don't know the word is that I want to use. I'm not surprised at all because I always have people come to me um, to get documents corrected and notarized the right way after leaving UPS. But in any event, let me go ahead and introduce myself before I jump right on into my topic for tonight. So, my name is Elise, also known as Bergeau. I am the owner of Elise Notary Services as well as the Notary Education Group. Every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I come to you guys live to discuss business and notary related topics, share some tips with you, and answer some questions that you may have in real time. All right. So, without further ado, we're going to be talking about. Hi, Denise. Good evening. Hi, Michael. Good evening. We're going to be talking about how to make your notarizations valid and compliant. All right. These are essential tips for notaries. Okay. So, first off, I'm going to go back to what I was talking about. My husband had to get a document notarized for his retirement. And he went to UPS because I can't notarize the document for him. And although he could have used my friend, who is an online notary, to do it correctly, he was short on time on his lunch break. He had to get it done. He went to UPS. And UPS did not notarize the document correctly. And this is not the first time that I have witnessed this. I had a family, a couple, come to me to notarize some loan modification documents that UPS notarized incorrectly 3 times. They went to the same store 3 times and their documents was notarized incorrectly. And so they finally found me. They explained the situation to me. They were just very tired and just wanted to get their documents done so they can get their relief. If anybody um, on here is not familiar with how a loan modification works, it is an additional loan that a person takes out on top of their mortgage to pay back late payments that they had, like missed payments, I'm sorry, that they had. So usually if they're like 2, 3 months in their negative in their mortgage, they can apply for a loan modification and the loan modification will pay off that balance for them and make them current. But of course, they're going to still owe that um, in addition to their regular mortgage payments. Okay, so time was of the essence for them, right? They needed to get this document completed and get that loan dispersed. So luckily, I was able to help them. I'm going to share my screen and show you guys the document. I did cross out my husband's information and the notary's information because I don't know if the notary watches any of my videos. I'm live and it's public on YouTube, so they could very well. And I don't want to, throw them out there like that. So let's, oh man, I can't share my screen. I need to pull up the document. Hold on just a second. Let's pull it up. And I'm kind of happy this happened because this just goes into what I was already going to talk about tonight. All right. Oh, that's not it. What did I save it as? I saved it as sample. Here we go. Yeah, okay, here we go. Because I'm not about to put my husband's information out there like that. All right, let's go ahead and share my screen. And let's show you guys what I'm talking about. Excuse me, I'm drinking some green tea with ginger tea. So I may be belching. So sorry in advance. All right, so what we are looking at here is a document that needed to be notarized, okay? And my husband went to the UPS store here where we are. And this is a Florida notary. Obviously, I'm in Florida. It's a Florida notary. And the document was notarized incorrectly. Now, Um, in our Florida state statutes, it tells us exactly how a document is supposed to be notarized and what needs to be included for the notarization to be valid and compliant. So we call these the 9 elements that are required in the notary verbiage. Okay, so everybody knows that I have this on a index card. So let me get it off my board here. There we go. I have the 9 elements here. And the reason why I have these 9 elements posted on my billboard here, and I also have it in my notary bag because it's a reminder. It's a reminder so that I don't forget the 9 elements, okay? Now, I'm gonna still talk about this document, but I just want to let you guys know. You are not always going to notarize documents that were drafted in the state that you are commissioned. All right. The document that you see here on your screen is a Michigan document, and we're here in Florida. Just because it's a Michigan document does not mean that we abide by Michigan's laws when notarizing the document. We're supposed to abide by Florida laws because we are Florida commissioned notaries. So the notary did not make this notarization compliant. Now, there are cases where even if you notarize the document incorrectly, they will still take it just because they don't know that it's not done correctly. All right. You have some people, they just want to get the document notarized and they don't really know that the notary did what they're supposed to do because they don't know what's supposed to be on there anyway. But if they see a notary stamp and a signature, then they're like, all right, it's notarized, and that's not how we operate, okay, notaries. So I'm going to just call out the elements and I want you guys to tell me if you see it. You can give me a thumbs up. If you don't see it, give me a thumbs down, right? All right, so the venue, all right? For anyone who is not familiar with what a venue is, the venue is the location for which the notary is in at the time of notarization, all right? So the venue, let me see if I can get like a pen and draw. I could draw right here, right? All right, so here is our venue. All right, so that's a thumbs up. That is the location that the notary was in at the time of notarization. All right, next we have the notarization type. How do you know the notarization type? Because you will have the keywords acknowledged or sworn to, what is it? Sworn to or affirmed and subscribed. All right. Do you guys see the notarization type on this document? I don't. But what I do see is I do see a word here that says oath. So me being the notary, I would attach a jurat to this document. Now, why didn't I ask the customer what type of certificate to attach? I didn't have to. It's plain to see that they want the person above named to take an oath. And we all know that there's only one notarization type for which the customer must be placed under oath for, and that is a jurat. Otherwise, there is no notarization type on this document. So that's strike one. Next, the notarization, we need to tell them if it was done in physical presence or online notarization. We have to indicate that on the document. Do you see that indication, physical presence or online notarization? Do we know if this document was done in person or online? It doesn't say. So that's another thing missing. Next, date of notarization. Now, I will tell you, you scroll down here, the notary, um, oh wait, date of notarization is here. So we're good there. That's the date of notarization. Next, name of signer. Do you see the name of signer anywhere in this space? Other than them signing above, we're supposed to list their name somewhere down here. Like so appeared before me via physical presence, via online notarization. That is not there. Hi, Jeanette. Good evening. So we don't see how they appear before the notary at all. Next, the type of ID produced. Do we see that anywhere? Do we know, by looking at the document, do we know what type of ID my husband produced for this notarization? No, we don't. Next, we need to see the notary signature. And the notary signature is here. All right. The notary's printed name under the signature. Not there. Now, what the notary did do is the notary signed in a space that she wasn't supposed to sign. She signed here, but processed by and date processed is for whoever receives this document, because we have to send it to Michigan. Whoever receives this document and processes it is supposed to sign and date there that they processed it, that they were the one who processed it, and this is the date they processed it. So the notary was not supposed to sign down there. She printed her name. The notary printed their name there and put the date because they didn't know, to me, because I see so many different documents, and that's just why I tell you guys, you're not going to get the experience and know what you're doing if you just don't notarize anything. You got to notarize documents. I notarize documents all day, every day. I do this full time. I know processed by was not for me. I already knew that. There was no question about it when I saw it. Okay. She printed her name there, and it wasn't supposed to be there. And then the last thing that we have on our 9 required elements for Florida certificates, notary seal. And the notary seal is present. All right. So basically, this notarization is it's not it's not notarized correctly. It needs to be redone, pretty much. But like I said, hopefully they will accept it. Granted, they probably don't even know how it's supposed to be notarized anyway. But just because you don't think that they would know does not mean that we should be notarizing documents incorrectly. Because we are people of integrity. You know what that means? Doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. All right. Thank you, Jeanette. Like I said, I'm happy that he got this document notarized at UPS because this is an example of the type of the kind of work that they do. They're notaries. All they do is they skip through the state education course because it's not a test for it. You don't have to pass a test. You have to look at it. You're supposed to read it, but a lot of people don't read it because they don't want to read it. It's too much. And yes, it is a lot, but you can't be out here not knowing what you're doing because if you put your seal on something, that paper, you don't know how long they're retaining this copy. They're going to have this copy for years to come. And your name is going to be on there saying that you notarized it incorrectly. And you can't even lie and say you didn't because your name is right there. Your stamp is front and center, your commission number and everything. All right. So this was a great example. And this is what we're talking about tonight. All right. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. Hi. And I want to know if you guys have any questions about that before I jump into another topic. Well, not another topic, but another point on how to make your notarizations valid and compliant. No questions? All right. So there was a post in a Facebook group. It was a notary had asked a question. She wanted to know if there was, well, I don't even know if it was a she because it said anonymous. They wanted to know if there was a Florida script for online notarization online that they could see. So I commented, and I really rarely comment in these groups because I just try to stay away from the groups. But I didn't see that anyone had responded. So I responded and I said, the Florida, because she said she was a Florida notary. They said they were a Florida notary. In our state statutes, actually, online, it shows you the questions that are required to be recited during an online notary session. Now, there are platforms that actually have a sample script that you can use. And you can take their script and you can really make it your own, because that's what I did when I first started. I started doing online notarization with one notary and Notarize at the time. It's proof now. But Notarize had a script. It was very lengthy. And I took their script and I created my own script, something that just flowed better and something that wasn't really wordy where I wasn't going to get short of breath in reciting every time I got online with a person. But there are specific questions that you have to ask per our state guidelines. And I'm going to share my screen and show you guys that. All right, we don't want to share. I mean, I'm going to save this in. I'm going to go to the Florida statutes. Oops, not on this page. I almost lost you guys. Hold on. All right, let's go to the Florida statutes. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm hoping I can just come right on it, because one thing about going online and looking at the statutes is it's hard for you to find what you're looking for when you need it. It's much easier for you to use your state primer, all right? Because the purpose of the state primer is to break this statute down into a easier, digestible source, okay? Because it's not like I can click these. You see this? It doesn't even let me like click this to go to a certain area. I have to literally scroll and find it. In any event, all right, Chapter 117, Notaries Public. This is our Florida statutes, guys, and these are for Florida notaries. For anyone else who is not a Florida notary, I'm sorry, but this is for, Florida notaries, okay? But the same applies to you. You can go to your state statutes if it's online, and you can just look up the information that you need. Excuse me. All right, so part 2, Chapter 117. Let's scroll and look here. This is our certificate verbiage, all right? You have the acknowledged before me. That's a keyword for acknowledgments. And then this is the keyword that, that we look for jurat. Sworn to or affirmed and subscribed. Sworn to or affirmed is being placed under oath. Subscribed is them signing, all right? So if you just see subscribed does not mean placed under oath. Subscribed is to sign something. All right, so anyway, let's go down to online notarizations. Here we go. Remote administration of certain oaths, 117.231. Let's see if that's where I need to go. Performance, online notary. Okay. During influence signing for your records. I'm looking for the questions. And I probably didn't scroll past it, but let's see. It's just so hard to look here. All right, let's see. Um, I know it's in there. It's up there somewhere. Wait, let's see. Act of witnessing, a witness remote, notwithstanding. Okay, well, when it comes to a power of attorney, these are the questions here that have to be asked. That's for your vulnerable adult. And here, some more questions. And let's see. The questions I'm looking for, I'm not finding. Because like I said, I probably freaking passed over it. Let me see if I can see it in the well, I think I passed it. And this is why people don't look, because it's not easy to find. You literally have to read it in order to find it. Me just scrolling, okay, so here. In performing an online notarization of a principal not located within the state, an online notary public must confirm either verbally or through the principal's written consent that the principal desires for the notarial act to be performed by a Florida notary public and under the general law of the state. An online notary public shall confirm the identity of the principal by personal knowledge of each principal, or all of the following as such criteria may be modified or supplemented in rules adopted by the Department of State. Remote presentation of a government issue identification credential by each principal, credential analysis of each government issue identification credential, identity proofing of each principal in the form, of knowledge-based authentication or another method of identity proofing that conforms to the standards of this chapter. If the online notary public is unable to satisfy subparagraphs 1 to 3, or if the database is consulted for identity proofing do not contain sufficient information to permit authentication, the online notary public may not perform the online notarization. And then it goes into other details. But the required questions that we have to ask is, we need to know, are they participating in the notarization of their own free will? That's most important. Do they understand what they're signing? Do they agree to sign the document electronically? You know, and then we want to know their full name and where are they currently located. Okay, all of those are requirements. But like I said, you go on a platform and a platform will show you the different questions to help you. So it's not like you got to figure it out on your own. And I will show you the questions that my very first set of questions that I had from Notarize and how I was able to draft my own. Here we go. I was able to draft my own script from their script. Let me see. There we are. Now this was the notarized script that they had when I first started. I think they've changed it since then, but here you go. Are you participating in today's notarization of your own free will? Oh, you guys can't see it. Damn, hold on. Let me stop sharing. I think I have to share the whole screen, entire screen. All right, here it is. So this is my old notarized script, and I still have it because, you know, you never know when you got to go back to the old stuff. But I have made my script from this script, okay? So you want to ask these questions, pretty much, and it's going to sound like it's a lot, but this is, and this is, look, this is a lot, you know, but they have different sections that you have to go to depending on how the signer answers. That's why it's so long. And this is why I had to make my own, because I was like, I'm not about to be jumping back and forth on this screen looking, no. So, identity confirmation. Confirm their identity and review the document. All right. It's the same thing online as it would be in person. Okay, in order to make sure that your notarization is compliant, you need to make sure that you review the document to make sure that the person before you is even the person that's supposed to be signing. And you may not believe it, and this may not have happened to you yet, but you will have somebody that will come to you saying that they want to sign a document and get it notarized, and their name is not even listed as the signer. But if you're not paying attention and you're just like, okay, you got to sign right here. Let me see your ID. You fill out your journal. Okay, sign the document. And they just sign it and you notarize it. And their name wasn't even on there to notarize. So you got to identify the person and identify the person who's supposed to be signing the document right off the top. All right. And two, you want to make sure their name is spelled right. I had a lady, she brought the document to me and I was looking at the document and I paused. And she knew why I paused. And she said, yeah, so they put my maiden name on there and or what was it? It was it was her married name still on there, but she had got a divorce already. And she had got rid of all her documents that had her married name on it. So I wasn't going to be able to do the notarization. So she contacted the person who drafted the documents, and they were able to send over a document for me to do an AKA for her. Otherwise, I was not going to be able to proceed with notarizing the document if I can't ID her to be the person that they had her listed as on the document. So it's really important that you're paying attention. Take a second. Okay, it doesn't matter if the signer is looking at you. The signer don't know how the document's supposed to be notarized unless they're a notary. So you shouldn't care about them looking at you, about them asking you what's taking you so long. I have to take my time and make sure that I notarize your document correctly. Because if I don't, this document will not be accepted, and then you'll be right back here mad at me. All right, so look at the document, check their ID, look at their face. Does their year of birth match with the person that's standing before you? All right, make sure that the name that's on that ID is the name that's on the document. Okay, those have to match. All right, and when a person signs a document, look at the signature on the ID and look at the signature on the paper. Most times they do match. Okay, so this is everything that you got to look for. All right, because you want to make sure you make that notarization compliant and valid. Okay, especially if you're doing closings. They know what they're looking for when they're doing those closings. And if you are not doing it right, then they're just going to go on to the next person because they're trying to close. They don't have time me messing around with you when you don't know what you're doing, you know? And don't be afraid to ask questions. Okay, don't be afraid to ask questions because they want the documents done right, just how you want to get them done right. Okay, so we're reviewing the document, right? Verifying the signer, and then we don't do this in person, okay? But there are some times where you may need to pause and ask these questions. The same questions that you see on my screen for online notarization, you may have to ask a person that, especially if you feel like the person demeanor looks uncomfortable. You know, ask them, are you signing today? You know, of your own free will? Does anybody force you to sign a document? If there's other people in the room, oh no, she don't know. She know what's going on already. Just she just gonna sign, or he just gonna sign. No, I'm gonna need for you guys to leave the room, please, so that I can have some time with this person because I need to make sure that they're signing the documents today of their own free will and that they're not being coerced. Because if they are, I'm not gonna proceed. And you should not feel bad about that because one thing for certain, you don't want your name on a document where it's going to be a headache down the line. All right. And those type of situations can be a headache when you have family forcing an elderly person or a sickly person to sign documents they're really not ready to sign or they really don't want to sign. Okay. So these same questions that you see that you have to ask online, you may have to ask them in person. Are you participating in today's notarization of your own free will? Do you understand what you're signing? I've had a few times where a person told me no, no, I don't. Then I had to stop. Well, do you want to take some time and read over the document before I proceed, or do you want me to reschedule you? Because I need to know that you understand this document before I sign it with you. All right? Do you understand and agree by signing this document, you are going to be legally bound to the terms of the document? So whatever the document says, you're going to be legally bound to it once you sign it. All right? And then lastly, do you understand that the notarization will be completed subject to laws of Florida? Because it does not matter what state the document was drawn under. You are a Florida notary or you are whatever state notary, and if that document wasn't drafted in your state, you still have to abide by your own state guidelines. If I get a Georgia document, I'm not following Georgia guidelines when I notarize the document. I'm following Florida because I'm a Florida commissioned notary. Okay? And this is something that you guys have to make sure that you absolutely understand. We are not performing notarizations based on the state of the document that we receive. And so here's another one. So you guys know I do um, online notary for one notary a lot. And this has been a situation just recently where Florida notaries have been refusing to notarize power of attorneys from other states. And we don't, you're not doing that. We're not refusing to notarize a power of attorney because it was drawn up in another state. Well, in Florida, a power of attorney requires two witnesses. But if that power of attorney was not drafted in Florida, we are not requiring two witnesses. Florida power of attorneys require two witnesses. Other states may not require witnesses at all. I've notarized deeds for other states where they don't require witnesses at all. Florida, they do require two witnesses on the deed. But in some states, they don't require a witness at all. So am I going to refuse to notarize this deed because it doesn't have two witness requirement? No, I'm not. Because the deed is not for Florida property. It's for another state. The same thing goes for power of attorney. The power of attorney is not a Florida power of attorney. It's another state power of attorney. So I don't have to require it because it's not a Florida power of attorney. Can I still notarize it? Absolutely. I can notarize any document as long as I am in my state at the time when I do it. All right. So don't be, you know, confused about notarizing documents for other states. Unless your state statute specifically says that you can only notarize documents that belong to your state, then you follow that guideline. But if you are a Florida notary, we don't have that restriction. We can notarize documents that were from different states, but we have to follow our guidelines when it comes to Florida specific. So Florida properties, I know I'm gonna need two witnesses. Other state property, no. A Florida power of attorney, I know I'm gonna need two witnesses. Other states that don't require witnesses for power of attorney, no, I don't have to require that. It's not for Florida. And I know it's confusing because it's like, well, if you're a Florida notary and you're following Florida guidelines, then why are you not requiring the witnesses, even those from the other state? Because it's not going to be even used or recorded in my state. It's from another state. It's going to be recorded and used in that state. So I don't have to require something of their state that they don't require. Does that make sense to you guys? All right, so I got one last thing to talk about. Where, oh, is it even going to be? Oh, here it is. Is this? Nope, that's not it. That's not it. I wanted to show you guys the 9 elements so that you don't be looking like, well, where did you get that from? These elements got it from my state statute. And if you're in a state that has a state statute that has your certificate verbiage specific in your statute, you need to look at it so that you can know what is required of the notary verbiage that's on the document that you get. Because every document that you are asked to notarize, it may or may not have notary verbiage attached. It may or may not have incomplete notary verbiage attached. Okay? And here it is. I think, hold on. Am I still in electronic? I want to highlight. Mm, is it? Here it is. All right. So, when notarizing a signature, a notary public shall complete a jurat or a notarial certificate in substantially the same form as those found in subsection 13, which are those certificates I was showing you. The jurat or certificate of acknowledgement shall contain the following elements, and there are 9 of them, and they're all here. So, this is not something I made up. This is in Florida state statute. This is what is supposed to be included for each notary certificate or notary verbiage section on every document that we notarize, whether it's a jurat or acknowledgement. It has to include all of these. And to make it easier, I just made an easy index card so that I can remember. And this is also included in the library that people who have requested access to, you have access to it. Remember, your access is unlimited, and I'm always adding stuff to it. Anything I can think of, I'm gonna add it to the library and share it with you guys. Okay. So if you're a Florida notary and you would like to have this little reminder, you can go in the library and download it. If you don't want to access my library, just go on the state statutes right here. You see the link at the top of the page and go to section 775.082 or 775.083 and copy and paste this yourself so that you can have a reminder of everything that you're looking for when you are completing a notarization. Because we have to make sure that our notarizations are compliant. I can't tell you guys how grateful my clients are when they work with me because they know that I know what I'm doing. All right, Michael has a question. Let's see. No, I thought that if you in Florida, you would have to have 2 witnesses if the documents are from Florida or not. Nope. If it is a Ohio power of attorney, I think they don't require witnesses. You do not have to require witnesses. Okay. That is specific to Florida power of attorneys. Warranty deeds as well. Warranty deeds for Florida property is specific to Florida. They require 2 witnesses. You have some states where they don't require witnesses for a deed. They don't require witnesses for power of attorney. So you don't have to require it. That's only for documents drawn up in Florida. We have that stipulation. So like, for example, when I get closings and I'll see a deed and it says no witnesses needed, I'll look. And if I notice it's not a Florida property, I'm like, yes, I don't have to get witnesses. You're welcome, Michael. Yeah, so this is super important to remember. Yes, we have to abide by Florida guidelines when we are performing our duties as a notary, but we are not imposing our Florida laws onto documents that do not have specific requirements in their state. Okay, remember, requiring 2 witnesses is not a notary thing. It's a document specific thing. So That's where the confusion lies. It's like, okay, well, when I notarize documents, I know that we need two witnesses for this. Yeah, but requiring witnesses does not have anything to do with your notary duties. Okay, it's a document specific requirement. And sometimes it's a state document specific requirement. So Florida power of attorneys, Florida property, Florida real property do require witnesses here. But if they are coming from another state, I'm not requiring witnesses for their document and it doesn't require interstate. It's not going to be recorded here. It's going to be recorded in their state. So it's not a requirement. All right, guys. So that was all I had. Just make sure that you are doing your due diligence. Like I said, I know looking at these statutes, it can be intimidating. I get it. I hate having to go on here and look, but when I got a question on something that I think I saw, but I'm not sure, and I got to double check, I got to go back to the statutes, or you can go to your primer. I keep my primer in my bag. Let me pull it out. It's kind of beat up. I'm going to get a new one next year because this one is from um, 2019. It's a 2019 notary primer. Okay. And like I said, it just makes things easier to digest than looking in there. You see, like it's just so much easier to look at here than it is on that computer screen. And then there's a table of contents, so I can go right to what I'm looking for. And as a matter of fact, let me see if I can find, let me see, requirements of certificate, real property. It even tells you about real property in here and witness requirements right there under real property. So this is why it's important. Thank you, Michael. I try to be, I'm trying to click. I try my best to be informative. And I try to give you guys information that I know that you can look up because I don't ever want you to come back and say, well, Bergeau told me it was like this. No, Bergeau is reciting what it is from the source. Let me see. Here it is. Oh, this is for online notarization though. I had tabbed this page off because when I'm doing power of attorneys, it has the questions on here that you have to ask when you're doing a power of attorney that is giving financial permissions. Hmm. And then here it has the types of ID that we can take. I mean, guys, it's so much easier to rely on the real resources that we have available to us as opposed to us just relying on what people tell you. Okay. If you don't have a notary primer, please make sure you get one. All right. I keep it in my notary bag. You see, it's very compact. It's not big. It's not thick either. Okay. And it's just so easy to go and thumb through when I'm trying to find stuff. See, this has all of the examples of certificate verbiage in here for me. You know, it's just a very valuable resource. And I got mine from the National Notary Association. Here's the 9 elements right here in the book. Okay. But I made a card because I'm not going to go back to this book every time to double check if I got all my elements on my certificate. I just made it easier for myself. Okay. It has chapter 117 right in the back of the book here. And then it has other things in the front of the book. See, it even has a dedicated section for um, online notarizations. All right, so how are we going to make sure that our notarizations are compliant? by making sure that we follow our state guidelines, right? We don't want to overstep and get confused though either. Like Michael was saying, and he's not the only notary, who thought that. If I notarize a document in Florida, no matter what state is drafted, and I'm thinking I'm supposed to have a witness, so to find out that's not the case, it's like, oh, okay, cool. It even gives you help with what questions to ask for the oath. If you don't remember off the top of your head, I do because I have to recite it every day, but if you don't, they have it here. So very, very valuable resource. Make sure you guys get your notary primer. Unfortunately, there are some states that don't have one. Montana doesn't have a notary primer. They just have a downloadable printout of their statutes, I think. I have a friend who's a Montana notary. I haven't spoke to her in a while, so I have to hit her up to say hi. But she was telling me they don't have a notary primer. They have to use the U.S. primer, which is not very helpful at all. But if you have a state that does have a primer, I highly recommend you get one. Okay, it's a very affordable and important resource to have. All right, I'm put mine back in my notary bag. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go. Time for me to go to bed because I have a busy week ahead. We're getting close to the holiday and the end of the month and the end of the year, and everybody is trying to close transactions. So it's going to be another busy week for me. Um, you guys have a wonderful night, have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you guys again on Sunday. All right. Anybody have any questions before I shut down? I need to put this back up here. Let me see. Right back on my cork board so I can have it. No questions, guys? All right. Well, good night to you. And thank you for tuning in and sharing with me and listening to me. I'll talk to you guys again on Sunday. Bye.